Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back once again to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Rob Kramer, joined by my co-host, Daniel Bobo Carlin, and of course, our special guest today, Eastside Dave McDonald. Dave, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Well, thank you, Rob, and thank you both, Daniel Bobo Carlin and Rob Kramer, greatest sports hosts in the land. I'm very excited to be here. Of course, I'm representing my show, the Davey Mac Sports Program. I hope we're at odds with each other.
No, this is definitely not a podcast war.
Okay, because if we are at odds with each other, Roy, Harder, my co-host, knows a few people who could have you guys killed.
Don't worry, there's no problems here. Me and Robert actually watch your show.
Oh, you actually do. So you too. You're our audience. I've been trying to find the pair of audience members that we've had for years. Okay.
Absolutely, man. And, obviously, me and Bo are both big-time Davidians. So, we definitely dedicate ourselves. And by the way, Dave, love the new Patreon. It's really awesome. I love all the all the content coming out. I'm really pumped up about this new Sirius XM show that you've got coming out. And
that should be unveiled on patreon.com/Eastside. Promise before the end of April. And while we're certainly cutting close, I can officially announce that the first episode is in the can. And I am extremely hopeful that it will be released on Friday, April 28th.
Wow. Okay. So this Friday, everybody keep your eyes open for that. Yeah. That's going to be an awesome show. No doubt about it.
Basically, people have always been, I've gotten tons and just people throughout the year commenting or asking questions about my time either on Ron and Fez or Opie and crossover or Sam and Dave show or the DMC on Sirius. And so we decided, you know what, why not just do an actual retrospective show and have a lot of fun with it. It's going to be this first episode starts with the infamous storyline where it culminated smashing Fez's face into pizza. People were very upset, and it's going to be a two-part episode, I believe. We go all the way up to the pizza getting smashed into Fez's face, and then we're going to have a second part. But the first part should be up on Friday, April 20th, patreon.com/EastsideDave. We're very excited.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. And you were definitely quite the heel during that little storyline there. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I was considered a real piece of garbage.
I actually have a little story about Eastside Dave. The first time I ever saw Eastside Dave on stage in person. Way back when you guys were at 111 57th Street, I went to an Opie and Anthony taping, right? I'm sitting on. I knew about this segment before, but I never expected I would see this segment in person. It was back when you would show up literally nude with your hands covering your junk, and Opie and Anthony used to have to guess what you were hiding where the sun don't shine.
That's right. That was one of those little stunts that I participated in. And I did such a fantastic job. It was a game show that I really thought could be the next Wheel of Fortune, but apparently there were many FCC infractions, so I could never become the next Pat Sajak. That was my big dream.
I'll tell you this much: I always liked Wheel of Fortune, but I would definitely much rather watch that game.
Yeah, I mean that's a game. There's mystery. There's history. I mean that's a game right there. What has Wheel of Fortune got? You get like a 3-day trip to the Bahamas, for crying out loud. No, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
And
could, I could, I could see the show being aired on a TV in Donovan's pub and everybody in the bar playing along.
That's right.
exactly.
Fun.
It's a perfect bar game.
They missed their opportunity. Well.
Exactly. Well, hey, we got a lot to get into, and I don't want to waste too much of your time, Dave. So we, right off the bat, we definitely differ on our teams here. I'm a Jets fan. Me and Bo are Mets fans. You guys are Giants fans. So, obviously, I picked a lot of shitty teams to root for. When it comes to basketball, though, we're all on the same page as the New York Knickerbockers advanced to the second round of the playoffs for just the second time in the last 20 years.
Hell yeah.
Bo, you guys must have been pumped watching that game last night. I know I was.
I was watching that game last night. I was going absolutely crazy. One of these days, I'm going to get probably evicted because of my passion for sports. I tend to be loud. There are lots of banging and just loud noises going on. The one thing I want to say is that I liked it when they called it the Eastern Conference semifinals. And that's what I'm saying that the Knicks are in. Because now you have the play-in round. Then you have this round. I don't know which is the first round, the second round. I do know back in the day, they would call the round that the Knicks are now in the Eastern Conference semifinals. And I like it. It sounds way more important. It sounds like, okay, we've had a great season because who knows what's going to happen. But they're matched up against the Miami Heat. Wow. This is and the Knicks have home court advantage. This is going to be a tremendous series. We are seeing the blossoming of Mitchell Robinson as one of the best defensive centers in the league. We are seeing the blossoming of several of our young players like Emmanuel Quickly and Obi Toppin. The Knicks, I've been saying all year long, have the most underrated in the NBA. One guy goes out. There's 6 young guys who can all play ball right underneath them. We haven't even seen Evan Fournier or Derrick Rose. They're not even getting any game time because all these young guys can play. So I'm extremely excited. This is the best Knicks team of the 21st century.
That I totally agree with you there. I totally agree with you. And one of the things that I noticed about this Knicks team too is something that you mentioned too, is that this bench has that next man up mentality. Doesn't matter who goes down. Doesn't matter what kind of lineup Thibodeau wants to run out there. And the Knicks are just deep enough to get it done, which I think really impacted that first round series against Cleveland, because you could see when you trade for a superstar the way that they did with Donovan Mitchell, and we were going to with Donovan Mitchell, you really hurt your bench and deplete your team a little bit, kind of like the Knicks did 10, 11 years ago with Carmelo, where
Exactly.
they gave up Timothy Mozgov, they gave up all those first-round picks, they gave up Felton, and they had no bench. So even though they had a couple of good teams when he was here, it just wasn't that deep.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's the first time the Knicks have won a playoff series in 10 years, and that team was all Carmelo. All Carmelo. And this team, you got incredible balance. You've got I still think Jalen Brunson is the single best point guard in the Eastern Conference. I've said it all year long. He's the best point guard in the East, period. Randall got that ankle sprain at the end of the first half, but I'm hopeful that a few days, maybe he doesn't even get to start on Sunday, and then maybe you give him a few days, and then he almost has a week to come back, and he gets game 2 start on Tuesday. But the team has depth, and anytime you can have a lot of depth in the NBA, listen, it's a great thing. Guys are struggling, just get a couple guys off the bench and go in there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Bo, you must have been pumped watching that too, as an early, little early birthday present, right?
Bo?
Oh yeah, that was an early birthday present. Let me tell you, when I watch games at home, especially when multiple teams that I'm a fan of are on at the same time, I do a multi-screen thing. Sometimes I even make use of my DVR because when the game's in the next day. Well, I can tell you, I probably, like Dave, make a lot of noise at home, and I feel like my dog feeds off that noise because when I'm making noise, he starts barking and howling. And this especially happened when the late Rosie Shea was alive. Today, by the way, would have been her birthday. By the way, I
Oh,
mentioned.
Happy birthday, Rosie
And
Shea.
Rosie,
happy.
and let me, and I get, yep, and I got to tell you something about Rosie Shea. She was a beagle, and if you're familiar with beagles, they have a loud bark, so you could imagine how loud she'd be when I was loud.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Waking up the neighbors over there in over there in Queens, no doubt about it, buddy. And
Oh.
so we saw, as Dave mentioned earlier, obviously we're matched up with the Heat the next round. They took down Giannis and those big bad Bucks, the number 1 seed. What do you guys think? If you had to make a prediction right now, what are we looking at in this series? Is it going to be a quick one, relatively like this?
Knicks in
I
six.
think I
And that's
I have
that
a feeling.
for me, the Knicks
And
in
I
six
also-
is more about superstition because I said 6 with the Cleveland Cavs and Knicks won. So I'm just going to keep the superstition going. I also will only be wearing my Knicks t-shirt on every Davey Max Sports Program episode going forward until they are eliminated from the playoffs. And if that means I got to wear it through mid-June because they're in the NBA Finals, I will do just that, partner.
Hey, that sounds like a deal to me. I got my Knicks shirt on right now, too.
I also got to say, going into the series, there's going to be a bit of a rivalry because I have a cousin who lives and was born in South Florida, so there might be a bit of a heated rivalry during this series.
Oh, no question about it. The Knicks and Heat was a great rivalry going back to the 90s. Riley left as head coach of the Knicks and went to Miami. And then, of course, you had that great fight with Jeff Van Gundy hanging on to Alonzo Mourning's foot there. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That whole thing. Yeah, no, Knicks Heat back in the day was, a great rivalry. With the Knicks 90s rivalries, Knicks Bulls, Knicks Pacers, probably Knicks Heat. Those were their 3 big rivals probably of that. So I'm excited. I really am.
Yeah, me too. And, just like you mentioned, too, that big, it brings back memories of those 90s rivalries. And they met every year in the playoffs from 97 to 2000 during that time. So obviously we had that chance to get that bad blood going. And the only time they've met in the playoffs since then was that round where Amare punched the fire extinguisher and messed his hand up, and they lost in 5.
That's right. That's right. Wow. Yes. Good call. Huh. Well, I'll tell you what, to me, the Knicks can do, I hate to say it, but I would bring a very similar philosophy with how they played against the Cavs in that they clearly were able to focus on Donovan Mitchell, said, let's not let Donovan Mitchell beat us. To me, that guy on Miami is Jimmy Butler. You saw what he did last night. And this guy is a clutch player. This guy is a big-time postseason performer. Concentrate on Butler. Make sure Hart is guarding Butler. Give him some help. And then let's go out there and kick some Miami, despite who Bobo's cousin roots for.
Exactly, man. And you said it.
I also got a little thing to say, kind of sort of a reference to this rivalry. Back in the 90s, we all remember playing the video game NBA Jam, right?
Yes.
Of course.
That day, when I'd be playing against the Heat, they were always a tough opponent in that video game. There is actually a little strategy to beating the real tough opponents in NBA Jam. There was always that, similar to the double dribble cheat, you had that one spot that was always guaranteed 3-pointers. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Of course.
I love double dribble.
Yeah,
that was a great double dribble, a phenomenal basketball game.
Yeah,
Absolutely was.
But apparently I discovered back in the 90s when I was maybe in middle school, that little spot where you could get guaranteed 3-pointers, you leaned heavily on that when playing against the Heat.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, the Heat were definitely a dangerous team back then, definitely a dangerous team now. I mean, Dave, you mentioned it, that Jimmy Butler game last night against the Bucks, he single-handedly took them down and was talking shit the whole time too. That's
what he does too. That is what he does. He is a competitor to the max, and I think the Knicks have a bunch of high competitive guys themselves, so they just got to really focus on limiting Jimmy Butler, and then I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I think this is that this was the best Knicks team of the 21st century. I totally agree, and you know what? I think one of the big reasons for that is because it's probably the best defensive Knicks team they've had since the 90s. This team really, really locks down players. They did a great job with Donovan Mitchell in that first round, and I think a lot of that credit should go to Tom Thibodeau, a guy who a lot of Knicks fans wanted to run out of town a couple of months ago.
I know. Tibbs has done the job. The acquisition part was huge. It was like he instantly improved the entire Knicks defense. Just that one player was such an upgrade. And I agree. I think the Knicks are right now gelling in all the right spots.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely going to be a fun second round series that's going to be getting started next week. So
and hopefully we can see Jimmy Buffett at courtside. I remember that one time where Jimmy Buffett got kicked out at a Miami Heat game because he was angry at the officials.
Really?
Which is similar because I was kicked out of Margaritaville this past Fez time, but that had nothing to do with officials and more like growing up near table 7. So.
Oh, that's understandable though, especially that's if any night called for it, it was that night.
Yeah.
But let's keep it moving here as we got the as yesterday, I wanted to get your take on this, Dave, too, because as a Giants fan, I feel like you'd have an unbiased opinion. So the Jets finally finalized this Aaron Rodgers trade, which we've been hearing about for weeks and months at this point. What's your take on this Aaron Rodgers deal? Who won the trade? And do you think that the Jets have a legitimate shot to, at least get a home playoff game this year?
Okay, so I am a football Giants, but listen, this is obviously a massive, massive deal by the Jets. And here's the thing. Let's say they get to keep Rodgers for 3 years. Okay, they got to win the Super Bowl, so they got 3 years to win 1 Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Because I am going to compare this trade to when the Dallas Cowboys sent Herschel Walker to the Minnesota Vikings. I know a running back is a much different player than a QB. I understand. I just want to make the comparison of superstar player with draft capital. When you go out and just mortgage the next 3 years of your draft, that's fine as long as Rodgers gets you that championship. If Aaron Rodgers does not get you that championship, your franchise will be in dark times for a decade. That's just going to happen. Now, Rodgers plays 3 years, gets a couple Super Bowl or just gets a couple of playoff appearances, but wins that Super Bowl, then that's fine. You don't care if you go into you have 5 or 6 shitty years. He finally got you that Super Bowl. So everything is contingent on whether Rodgers delivers that ring. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that definitely makes total sense. I as a Jets fan, I feel the same way. If you're pushing all in, if you're pushing all your chips in, you want that payoff. I don't think that the Rams fans are too upset right now what they gave up for Matthew Stafford because they got that Super Bowl. And even
right.
I'm sure that the Buccaneers, they didn't have to give up anything to get Brady, but I'm sure that they hamstrung themselves a little bit for the next couple of years. Well, they don't mind because they got that Super Bowl. I feel the same way. If the Jets, get that Super Bowl, I don't care what they gave up.
Yeah, it's they got to win that Super Bowl though. I'll bring something up. I have a coworker at my radio station WR18 95.9 FM, where I dominate weekdays. I'm the number one host at the Jersey Shore. And this person at my radio station was a Jets fan. I said, so how far is it, will it be acceptable for Aaron Rodgers to take the Jets for this trade to be acceptable as well? And he said, championship game. He said, AFC championship game. I go, Mark Sanchez got you to an AFC championship game twice, in fact.
It's a good point.
I don't think if you're a Jets fan, it can be acceptable to give all of those draft picks away for an AFC championship game appearance. That's what this Jets fan was telling me. I'm like, to me, this got to be Super Bowl or bust.
Well,
No.
what I've learned about my fellow Jet fan through this whole process, though, is that a lot of Jet fans are just damaged people that don't think they're ever going to win. You know what I mean? Like, they know, or they just expect the worst. And the idea of losing in a championship game after the last 10 years that we've been through, I think they still think is a great thing. But it's like, guys, you have Aaron Rodgers. We can actually do this. But I don't
have to think bigger. You have to think bigger now. You have to. With that defense and with Rodgers, you got to think we must win the Super Bowl. I know it's a lot of pressure, but otherwise, I don't know if giving up 3 draft picks was the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, you have to win a Super Bowl. What do you think, Bo? Did they give up too much? Do they have a chance to win a Super Bowl, in your opinion?
I feel they have to, and they should win a Super Bowl within the 3 years of that contract. Without a doubt, they give up that much. I really cannot see them not winning the Super Bowl in these 3 years. I'd be shocked. As a matter of fact, if they don't win the Super Bowl in these 3 years, I think your girlfriend might have to have you on suicide watch.
I think she probably already has me on that because.
Oh, no. Oh, gee. All right. Wow. Now the stakes are really high here.
That escalated quickly. That definitely did.
All right. Fantastic.
Well, with all the teams I root for, I think she pretty much expects that's going to be the final outcome anyway.
Yeah, I will forever associate with one of the funniest episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
What?
I don't know
Which
if you
one?
remember the episode. Remember the episode where Larry David was trying to get with the widow of a friend of his that killed himself?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was good.
And remember the episode was full of Jets references. Even the guy that was trying to trash Larry's car. Once he realized Larry was a Jets fan, the guy backed away, and his complaints sounded like every complaint I've heard from Jets fans. That mugger.
Yeah, well, us Jet fans have definitely been through a lot. So I think, and Larry David being a Jet fan, I think he knows, just as well at the toll it takes on you rooting for this team.
Good point.
But so just to keep things rolling, now we got the NFL draft tonight. That's why it really was great the way everything worked out. Getting you on today, Dave, because it's so many different things to talk about. With the draft, obviously the Jets moved back a couple of spots for the first time in it seems like years. The Jets and the Giants aren't in the top 5. So, what do you think? Are you really focused in on who the Giants could be looking at 25, or are you just kind of more just let the Giants front office take care of it and they're going to get the best guy available?
I don't get crazy excited for the draft. I will be paying attention to it with Knicks on tonight. But the reason why, what have we seen? We've seen countless busts throughout the years. Then we've seen guys like Tom Brady, or last year, the very last guy in the draft was arguably the rookie of the year, Brock Purdy, before he got hurt. The very last guy. So my point, they miss a lot on the draft. I understand. Fans are going to be excited. They want to see their new players and this and that. But I want to see the guys perform on the field when it matters. I'm not so much into a guy getting a little baseball cap and, posing with, Goodell. But I think that the Giants need some playmakers for Daniel Jones. And I'm sure that they'll try to give him a little help on the offensive line. But let's be honest. The Giants' Achilles heel was their receivers. They had no receiving crew. I mean, that was one of the worst receiving crews that I've seen in a while. And they still made the playoffs and won a playoff game. I'm hoping the Giants can figure that out, whether it's free agency or the draft tonight. Get me somebody who's fast. That's all. Somebody who's fast.
Yeah, what you're saying there makes a lot of sense to me because the Giants were relying at the end of the year on like practice squad guys. And even though a lot of them performed pretty well, you definitely want to upgrade that receiver room. I keep hearing that the Giants are looking at offensive linemen. I hear they're eyeing a couple of centers that is supposed to be in that range. And
they're always into the offensive linemen, and that's fine, but I feel like, and maybe Bo would, I just feel like the last 10, 15 years, anytime they draft an offensive lineman, I don't know. I feel like they haven't had a lot of success with drafting offensive linemen. Rather, they've had a little bit of success in acquiring free agent offensive linemen, guys who are veterans. And it's tough to know how someone's going to be an offensive line in the pros. It really is. I mean, that might be one of the dicier positions to actually, draft. Because you think about it, these college guys, they're just going against, they might be 300 pounds. They're going against defensive linemen who might be 250, 260 pounds. In the NFL, they're all 300, 330 pounders on the defensive line. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. And in college too, you never know the level of competition the guy's going up against. So it's definitely a hit or miss process with these offensive linemen, especially anything really out of the top 10, top 15.
Get the offensive linemen through free agency, and get these fast guys from Alabama who can run past people the way I could run past Bobo in a 50-yard dash and just leave him in the dust. I'd make Bobo look like a statue if we ever got into a head-to-head race. He'd be sitting there with his dumb hat and his dumb glasses, wondering where the hell did Dave Man go? Well, I'll tell you where Dave Man went. He just ran away from you and won the goddamn race, while you're sitting there counting the blades of grass on the goddamn lawn. I just ran across the finish line. I have a 4.140. And I don't know too many guys in the combine who can run a 4.140. Davey Mack can. I'm probably the fastest radio guy out there. And I'd leave Bobo standing there like a stupid, dumb statue. That's the type of receiver I need. Somebody fast from Alabama, LSU. Give me somebody from Ohio State. Some fucking fast guy who's going to run past everybody, catch the goddamn football, get me 6 points, and let's win the Super Bowl. Forget about Aaron Rodgers.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, 4.1, the Giants should think about drafting you.
Yeah, I run a 4.140.
Holy shit.
I know. I tell people that all the time. No one believes me. But you listen, anytime anyone, if they want to send ABC Wide World of Sports over to my house to prove it, by all means.
Bo, I'm officially gonna license you as a the Wide World of Sports camera crew. So get over there, and I want to see this race between you two. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, I absolutely will race him. We're gonna race in the middle of the road, by the way, right on the Garden State Parkway, Bo. I'll even give you a head start, Bo. Just get out into the left lane of the Garden State Parkway and just start running. And I'll be on the sidelines watching you, just giving you a head start, okay?
Bo?
It looks like I'm going to have to It looks like I'm gonna have to start taking some marathon training advice from a relative that, by the way, ran in several marathons and triathlons all over the world.
That's right. And you also should start training at avoiding cars, avoiding, getting hit by a car, because we're having this race on the Garden State Parkway.
Well, I guess maybe I'm gonna have to maybe do my training in Queens Boulevard, one of the
Yeah.
most dangerous streets to cross in America.
I understand. The Parkway, it's 65 miles an hour, so the cars are going to be coming fast. This is going to be a difficult race we're going to be engaged in.
It's going to be one tough game of Frogger.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly. I always tell people that that Frogger was invented by a random developer that tried crossing Board of Death, is what those locals call Queens Boulevard. That's where I say they got the idea for Frogger.
I used to live on Queens Boulevard back in the day.
Really?
You know that? Yeah. Queens Boulevard, and I think my cross street is there a 46th Street, Bo, in Queens Boulevard? Does that address make sense?
I think there's a section of it. I know it's a huge stretch of road, Queens Boulevard. So
yeah, I was right in the 40s in Queens Boulevard.
Wow, very
yep,
cool.
I might try that. I might even try looking for the sections of the boulevard that still don't have that fence on the areas that are not in the intersection.
There you go. That's it, Bo. All right. And just to keep it rolling along here, I just want to touch real quick on because I know, we're all big baseball fans, but really baseball, it's kind of like the second story going on here right now. But Mets and the Yankees, the Yankees got back on track yesterday, big 12-6 win, against the Twins. The Mets dropped 2 out of 3 to the Nationals. Dave, what's your early season impressions with the Yankees going on so far?
The Yankees need to get rid of Aaron Hicks. It's not that he's a scapegoat, but the team, except for that 12-run outburst yesterday, the team really hasn't hit that well. And I sometimes think just guys of the past who really haven't done anything, and they've failed time and time again, the way Hicks has these last 2 or 3 years. It just sometimes it really is addition by subtraction. You have to get him off the team. He can't play defense anymore. At least when Aaron Hicks wasn't hitting in 2017 and 18, the guy could sometimes be a dynamic center fielder defensively. He can't run. He's a guy who got old quick. It happens sometimes. Sometimes guys can play 39, 40 years old, and they're still productive. And then sometimes, because guys had a lot of serious injuries, they get old quick. He's an old 33 or 34. However old Hicks is, he's an old version of that. As far as one thing that I liked, which was after the 2 games ago, Aaron Boone said, look, we're waiting too long to get engaged in these games. He's like, we got to jump on people and start hitting right away. And I thought that was cool that Judge sort of told them, hey, come to the plate, start hitting the ball. And the very next game, they got 12 runs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not an anti-Boone guy, but I am an anti-Cashman guy. I think our general manager, I still think he does a lot of questionable things. I think Hicks needs to go. I think Donaldson needs to go. And I think that, the Yankees will be okay. Bring up Dominguez by the All-Star break, and the Yankees will be fine. But right now I'm seeing too many veterans who they don't mean anything. Aaron Hicks is not going to be a player. The Yankees are young now, combined with the right veterans. So Aaron Hicks is not going to be an important part of the team 3 years from now. But Oswaldo Peraza and Cabrera and Volpe and all these guys, they are going to be a part of the future. Have them play. with Judge, Rizzo, and Stanton, the right mix of veterans and the young guys, and then get rid of the older vets who don't mean anything, like a Hicks and Donaldson.
Yeah, it almost seems un-Yankees like, in my opinion, to still have those guys hanging out on the team. I I grew up obviously in being a Mets fan and watching the Yankees from afar, just seeing that anytime the Yankees made a mistake bringing a guy in, whether it was a guy like Kevin Brown or Kayagawa or whichever or Carl Pavano, the Yankees were able to just eat that money and say, get the hell off the team. You stink. We don't want you anywhere near here. Where the Mets, if they gave out a bad contract, they would kind of eat it and they'd shove that guy out there no matter what just to get the bang for their buck. But it's kind of surprising to me that the Yankees haven't gotten rid of guys like Donaldson and Hicks yet, because all it would be is just admitting the mistake on the contract, eating that money, and getting him out of town. So it's just kind of surprising.
Well, because Cashman can't admit when he's wrong. He's got that weakness in him. And I don't know why Cashman thought, before the season, he was almost guaranteeing rebound seasons from Hicks and Donaldson. And it's like, why? What about Aaron Hicks in the last 3 years is he all of a sudden going to turn around and in the year 2023 have a good season? It didn't make any sense. And so I think Cashman has a pride issue. And I think he used to be a lot quicker because probably George was the one who was impatient, and Hal not quite as impatient. And sometimes you question if he has the same fire that the old man used to have.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, because it seems like Hal doesn't exactly have his foot on the gas the way that George did.
No, yeah. See, I feel like Brian Cashman runs the Yankees more than Hal Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's almost like, how now everybody complained about Dolan being involved with the Knicks, and it seems like he's kind of stepped back and just let Leon Rose do his thing. It seems like that's really what Hal is doing with the Yankees, where he's just letting Cashman be the main decision maker, and anytime he's just got to get backed up with money, like with that big Judge deal, Steinbrenner's there to make sure he has that cash.
And I mean, Cashman now, the Yankees haven't won since 2009. So they are on a 14-year streak. And I know other fans of other organizations would be like, oh, cry me a river. You guys haven't won in 14 years. Our organization hasn't won in 50 years or something, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, understood. When you're a Yankees fan, though, you do have different expectations.
Yep.
The Yankees haven't gotten to 27 championships by being okay with winning every 14 or 15 years. They would have never gotten to that many championships. The expectations simply became greater for the Yankees. And 14 years between championships is way too long. That is an issue, and it's all happened under Brian Cashman. So we are getting impatient now.
Yeah, and understandably so. The Yankees have a different level of excellence and expectations, as they should. I mean, you pointed out all the time. So how many championships do the Yankees have, Dave?
27.
And Bo, how many championships do the Mets have?
2. And we haven't won since the Lincoln administration.
What? 2 championships. That's so cute. I think I could have 2 championships in baseball. Give me 2 seasons and I'll get 2. 2. 27 to 2. Think about that.
I mean, it
really
really lets you know.
Isn't it silly though, Bo?
Yeah, it is silly. I do laugh at the end, but at the same time, I feel like this year I've noticed that the pitch clock rules have affected the game greatly. There some even negative effects. I noticed that this year, I feel like the pitchers that work quick have the advantage. I know right now, early on, hitters seem like maybe their timing's a little bit off with the pitch clock, but I feel the hitters are going to be adjusting a lot quicker. And I feel like the Mets, what they need to do at the trading deadline, assuming they're still in contention at the trading deadline, they need to look at the Pacific pitchers, starters, and relievers. They need to look at is pitchers that work quick. Because I feel pitchers that are able to work quick have a great advantage with this pitch clock rule.
Okay, hey, that's a good point. That's an interesting point. I know that Garrett Cole, I feel like he's been helped out by the pitch clock tremendously because I think Cole is just one of those guys who's very cerebral, but when he's out there on the mound, he can almost be overthinking what he's doing out there. And with this pitch clock, he's just getting the ball and throwing, and not thinking. And I feel like it's very much helped out Garrett Cole. So I love it. I think the cutting down a half an hour on the game is, unbelievable, you know?
Yeah, it really is. And the game has such a better flow to it now. You know,
Yeah.
Like I remember we used to call Steve Traxel when he was a Met the human rain delay because
That
he would,
was the worst.
that guy would just stomp
brought him
around
up. I brought him up on the Davey Match Sports program. They timed him once, and he was like 48 seconds between pitches. And it's like, oh, my God. Like a regular 9-inning game, no extra innings, no nothing, could be 4.5 hours long when Steve Traxel was on the mound. It was that awful.
You're right. And luckily, a couple of the older guys probably aren't a fan of it. It looked to me like Carlos Carrasco was really negatively affected by it. But hey, you have to just get used to it. Once these guys figure out exactly the way to time it out and get in the flow of the game, then it's not going to be an issue.
Get the ball and throw it in. That's all. It's supposed to be like the Bugs Bunny cartoon where he just gets the ball and throws it right back in. That is the way baseball's supposed to be played. And I am enjoying baseball a lot this year, though. I think the new rules have all been great. I just want one more rule, which is the K zone. I want that to be the official arbiter of balls and strikes. Because these new rules are great. The product is great. But yet you still watch 20 missed calls per game.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make sense. They have the K zone during live games. Just have that be the striker ball call. It's nice and simple.
Yeah, you're right. You see even on Twitter, they have an account on there called Umpire Auditor. And it's a really great account because it shows you just how often these umpires make terrible calls. I mean, you'll see frequently guys calling balls 2.5, 3 inches outside of the strike zone. And sometimes
let's be honest, being an umpire has always been challenging. But with how great pitching is at a premium right now. You used to have one, at most, maybe 2 guys who could come out of the bullpen or something and throw 100 miles an hour. Now every team's got 8 guys who can do that. They got a couple starters who can throw 100 miles an hour. They got 5 or 6 guys out of the pen who can throw it. It was always difficult to umpire balls and strikes. It's much harder now. Quite frankly, it's too hard. It's too difficult. And under my plan, the umpires union shouldn't have any issue with this because I would add jobs. I would add another umpire in the booth, okay, relaying whether it's a ball and strike. He says it into a microphone. The home plate umpire's got a little earpiece. He says ball, the home plate umpire goes ball. Or he says strike, the home plate umpire goes strike. Because the fans in the stadium still need to know whether it's a ball or strike, the pitcher, the players. So you still have the home plate umpire doing it. And you rotate each guy the way they always do. So one day the guy on the he's up there, he's what we call the booth umpire. Then the next game he's the first base umpire, and the first base umpire is the one going up to the booth. And I think you would have to then add a job to each umpiring crew. And so people are like, well, the umpires union is going to have an issue with that. Why? We should add jobs and relieve stress. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have to do this anymore. It's too difficult. Batting averages have plummeted 30 points over the last 5 years. So a 25 or 28-year-old guy who is trained to see these pitches, they're having a harder time. How's some 60-year-old fatso going to be able to see these pitches? Come on, man.
No, you're 100% right. I love that idea too. And with all the technology that's available now, they have to utilize it like that. I mean, it just makes sense.
It's the last thing they need to do to make baseball a really cool, modern-day, fast-moving product. Think of it like this. How many kids have been playing these MLB video games for years and years and years? They're used to seeing the K-zone. They're used to having strikes and balls called by the K-zone.
Yeah.
So just go with it already. The K-zone people are used to it. We don't need goddamn Kent Hirschbeck making 48 bad calls during a 2.5-hour game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely it makes total sense that they definitely have to figure that out. I mean, it's right in front of them right now, and I think
right in front of them.
Yeah,
It's like, do you want a fancy computer that could be used in NASA making these calls, or do you want someone like Bobo making these calls? With all due respect, who's out to lunch. I think most people want the NASA computer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Where there's everybody accepts that K zone as
right
fact now, so you might as well just make it that way.
Right. And the biggest mistake they ever made was putting the K zone graphic on television during live action, like not just during replays, but like while the game is being played. That was the stupidest thing they could ever do, because now you see how many calls they missed. So I've been saying for years, if they don't want to do the umpiring thing, which I think they should do, then just get rid of the K zone on TV. It's hurting you guys. It's making your entire product look stupid. Either or. Get rid of the K zone, although that's not really fixing it. The issue is, get these umpires making forget about it. It's too hard. Garrett Cole throws the ball 100 miles an hour. The next pitch is a knuckle curve that goes 78 miles an hour and drops like straight down. How are these umps going to know if something is a ball or a strike? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Couldn't agree more. And so just to keep it moving, because we're coming to the end here. We've already kept you for way too long, Dave. I don't want to waste your time as it is.
You kept me way too long today.
I just want to get your opinion. We got Rangers Devils game 5 tonight in Jersey. Series.
Well, Bobo and I have made a bet. I don't know if you're aware of.
I am.
But if the Rangers win this, I'm a Devils fan. Bobo's a Rangers fan, and I believe that if the Rangers win the series, Bobo gets to attempt to saw my head off live on the Davey Mack Sports program, like one of those old school beheading videos. If the Devils win, I get to detonate Bobo in Times Square. We will clear off the sidewalks and the streets, because we don't want any collateral damage. We don't want this to be looked at as any kind of terrorist act. This is more of a celebration of blowing up Bobo in Times Square. So we'll make sure that everything is safely done. But we have ordered the dynamite. So,
all right. And to be fair, Bo, you've had to pay this bet off for a couple of years now, so it's been coming. Yeah,
for some reason, I mean, he keeps avoiding this. He's made predictions that the Mets are going to win the World Series the last 3 years, and I've said, if they don't, can we blow you up in Times Square? He said yes. I don't know why he won't follow through on the bet, honestly. But this time he promises he's going to be following through, and we will detonate him. And I'm thinking maybe we just replace the big silver ball on New Year's Eve and we suspend Bobo in the air. And on, once it hits midnight on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, we blow him up. I think that would be fun for everyone.
I love that idea. I feel like it's festive, and especially if he's wearing, his Rangers or Mets jersey.
But he's gonna wear that, but also those little glasses that say like 2024 on them. He'll wear those up, and then we'll blow him up. In fact, it would be cool if like we could almost have him be like a piñata, and maybe we can like stuff like a bunch of like little wrapped candies into him, and then when we blow him up, like all the candy comes out. That's just an idea. I just thought of that right now.
I love it. Bo, what do you think? Are you pumped for that, or?
Well, I personally recommend Snickers bars for that.
Snickers bars, okay.
Bars, not the mini bars.
Okay, so he doesn't have an issue with getting blown up. It's more of the candy.
Go
just the candy. That makes sense.
He has an issue with the candy selection, not being murdered in New York. So, okay. I will make sure to get lots of those little. Are we talking bite-sized, or are you going to get the big ones? How are we going to get the Snickers, the bite-sized Snickers? Let's go with the bite-sized one.
You got to go big. You got to
go
and then maybe have some people throw full-size candy bars.
All right, fair enough. Well, it looks like his thing is screwing up a little bit right there. He just got kicked out again. But Dave, real quick before we let you go, because I'm sure he'll pop back in a second. I do want to show you this though. I'm sure you've seen it already. But the other night, I know you're a big wrestling fan.
Yes.
The other night they debuted the new championship belt for the WWE for Monday Night Raw.
I like it.
It's got a pretty nice look, right? Kind of old school feel to it.
Yes, I like it. I've had a major issue with the belts in previous years. There's simply no gold on it. I hate the how much space. First of all, the universal belts always looked awful. Whether it was the blue strap or the red strap, I could care less what color the strap is. It looks very garbagey. Secondly, you gotta have gold on your championship belt, and like all that dead space and just a little smallish. It's not even a lot of gold. It was just like a little outline of gold with some diamonds in. No, it was, to me, cheap looking. This belt's got the gold. This belt's got that old school NWA, lots and lots of gold look to it. I actually think this is a handsome belt.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They had, it's kind of like, like you said, like that old big gold Ric Flair championship feel to it. And it just, I'm still, my championship that I love is the that Winged Eagle Hulk Hogan championship belt. But so I'm still getting used to the big W in the middle of the championship. But I still think aesthetically it looks really nice.
It's a lot better than all that, basically nothing, and then just a little thin, slightly gold and silver W. At least I'm looking at lots and lots of gold, and then the W is in looks like to be in silver. But it's better than the red straps and the blue straps or whatever the hell that is. That looks terrible.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well, Dave, we've kept you already for too long. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody, do yourself a favor, subscribe, patreon.com/EastsideDave. Check out the Davey Mac Sports Program. Check him out on WRAT. Listen to Yaddle Chattel. Also, don't forget his great podcast with his son, the Eastside Dave and Son Wrestling Show, as they, will give frequent podcasts about the big upcoming wrestling shows. So do yourself a favor and check that out too. Very entertaining stuff, Dave.
Thank you. Yeah, we have the Eastside Empire, all kinds of podcasts, all kinds of things. You ever want to, if you get a little confused, EastsideDaveCountry.com is my website. And Everything is posted there as well. But having a lot of fun these days. We just, I don't know if you know, we just got a brand new live venue for the Davey Mack Sports Program, the Dojo of Comedy in Morris Plains, New Jersey. We just recorded our first episode. No audience, but it's still live on stage. For the next few weeks, maybe several weeks, we're going to be doing these shows with no audience. But with the end goal to be at some point, we will open it up and bring people in, allow people to come to the shows. But we're all back in one room. Roy's keyboards are back. The music is back. It's a really cool spot, a really cool place, and we're very excited for the Davey Mack Sports Program going forward. So make sure you're subscribing and liking on iTunes or Spotify or Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Make sure you check it out.
Absolutely. Check Dave out. And, you know, I was supposed to mention that at the top of the show. I forgot, though.
That's all right.
Love seeing you guys together again in the same place. The Dojo of Comedy, absolutely awesome seeing you guys together. I always loved the party atmosphere that you guys had when in the old Davey Mack Sports Program and the Compound Media version of the show. So it's great to see it get that party feel to it again.
Yeah, we're gonna bring the ruckus, bring the fun, bring the passion, the fire, and we're off to a good start. We're already having a lot of fun.
It's great to see. And hey, Dan, before we get out of here, anything to plug? Oh, are you muted, buddy?
He muted himself.
Dan, you
Hold
muted?
on, I
There you
just
go.
fixed it. I was having technical difficulties. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi in this house.
No problem, buddy.
The Wi-Fi in this house gets spotty at certain times of day because they do their Spectrum does their maintenance work at times during the afternoon. But
We get it, man. So you have anything you'd like to plug?
sure, I want to plug my Twitter feed. It's Bobo103NYC. Instagram Bobo718DK. Daniel Curl in one word on YouTube when I upload some YouTube stuff. Also, since today there was a little bit of a sort of breaking news that I noticed on social media before the show. I always check my social media shows to make feeds to make sure we got the most up to date news in the world of New York sports. I saw someone mention that a news feed mentioned that Jerry Springer passed away. We all remember at times when we had off of school watching Jerry Springer, and we all remember those great VHS tapes.
Oh my God, this is horrible. Did you know? I'm very surprised. I didn't know. I didn't hear about that. That Jerry Springer died.
Yeah, it's breaking news. Also,
How did he die? He got shot or something?
No, they just said he died in his own home. They hadn't had the
Oh my God, you heard it here first. On Best Seats in the House, Bobo just announces Jerry Springer shot and murdered in Dallas, Texas, right as he was driving in his Cadillac. Oh my God, Jerry Springer dead at the age of 45. Lyndon Johnson will be sworn in. Holy cow.
Well, you heard it here first, everybody.
I do got to share some funny memories about the show. I myself, once they moved the tapings of their show from Chicago to nearby Stamford, Connecticut, it was a short walk from the Metro North station. I went to see a couple of tapings of the show, and one of those tapings, I even got hit by a flying hairweed. I was also gifted by one of the security guards a replica of the very shirts that the security guards wear, which is a real cool shirt. I still saved it. Also, since in memory of Jerry Springer, I feel there's only one way to close this episode of the show. As the late Jerry Springer would say at the end of his shows, take care of yourself and each other.
Oh,
there we go.
I didn't know that Jerry Springer was that deep.
Yeah, he had that little closing statement at the end of his show after all the debauchery that you see in the last hour.
But
Yeah, it would be like as if Gandhi like hosted a show of like trailer trash people beating each other up for an hour, and then was just like, "Hey, be good though."
by the
Exactly.
way, by the way, my favorite episode of the show to rewatch is the Little People episode.
Oh yeah.
That one was such a fun watch.
It sounds like you and Vince McMahon have something in common. Well, then I can't think of a better way to end the episode than that. Dave, can't thank you enough for joining us. Bo,
you.
great as always. And this is the Best Seat in the House podcast, and we'll catch you next week, everybody.